I knew God had created me for something more, and just staying where I was not, that's not it.
Mhm.
Like we have one life to live, and I really was looking at my life too. Like, where am I at right now? Where am I going to be in 5 to 10 years? Because
Mhm.
we can never get that time back. We can never get that time back. And I'm like, I cannot continue on this path. So I started to take these bold leaps of faith, these scary steps, right? It's scary when you're trying to become an entrepreneur. It's scary to let go of what you know because what you know is comfortable. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's comfortable because it's familiar. I 100% believe that our life is a gift,
Mhm.
right? And you only get one. And again, you can't get that time back. And so it's like you can either live your life in like this box,
Mhm.
essentially, that somebody else creates. Hey, these are your boundaries, these are your walls, this is as high as you can go.
Mhm.
Or we can say, you know what, I'm just going to step out of that. Because there's a door. You can choose to step out of it. But that's the thing. It's like we've been conditioned to stay in the box.
Yeah.
So opening that door and stepping out is the scary thing. But once you do it, it's like, wow, there's so much freedom. We're constantly getting better, constantly. Even now, like I have so much business knowledge, but I continue to invest in coaches because there's so much I still don't know. There's so much I still don't know. And so I would say investing in other people that have already done the thing that you want to do and asking them how they did it and learning and surrounding yourself with those type of people, with like-minded people, that's going to help to shift your perspective of what is actually possible.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Brainwashed To Be Broke series. Today's guest is someone who turned pain into power, living a difficult marriage, selling her house, and betting on herself with over 150K invested into mentorship and growth. She's now a business strategist, speaker, and co-author with Les Brown, helping others break through money blocks and build businesses that actually make an impact. She went from doubting her worth to closing 30K deals and selling multiple high-ticket programs, including 3 in 1 week. Honored to have her here. Welcome to the show, Brianna Thaxton.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited for this conversation. Um, we had met before just for a quick chat, but it was awesome to meeting you. And I have prepared some questions for you, so I'm ready for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, let's go.
Awesome. So, but before we go to those questions, I would love to hear your backstory, and all the listeners would love to hear your backstory. How do you get into entrepreneurship, and yeah, how it all started for you?
Okay, sure. So I'm actually the baby of seven and I have a single mother. Yeah, so my parents separated when I was a baby, and we did not have very much money, as you can imagine. When there's a single mom, she went from stay-at-home mom to seven kids on her own. And so, yeah, and then my grandmother also, she helped to raise us a lot, and she went through the war in Germany. And so with that, we heard a lot of things like money doesn't grow on trees, and we did not waste. We did not waste anything. Um, and then later on in life, I saw how my mother persevered, how she pushed through. She became a nurse and it took us up a level in life. And just seeing like what my mom went through, what my grandma went through. And then now later in life, I became single mother of five kids after a difficult marriage. And I was like, I want to do something bigger. I feel called to something greater. And, entrepreneurship isn't just like, I want to do this for me. It's like, I have to figure out how to do it so I can show other people how to do it.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. So, when it all started for you, tell me more about that. Like what happened that it actually took you to to that path of building a business?
Okay, so in my marriage, we were actually just scraping by. Like
Mm.
every month, we just had enough to pay the bills. We were buying groceries on a credit card, and I was like, we can't keep going on like this. And so I was trying to figure out how to do something on the side. And as a matter of fact, like, those little itty bitty Pomeranians, like the little tiny fluffy ones. I always wanted a tiny, tiny one, and so
Yeah.
I saved up, I invested, and I got one and
Nice.
spent $1,100 on this little tiny dog, and that was a ton of money. That was a ton of money. And so then I'm like, if I'm gonna spend this much money on a dog, it's got to pay for itself. Like I would love to have more puppies. And so then I got another one, $1,500. And this is actually really where entrepreneurship started for me because when I started breeding them, I sold my first puppy for $1,800, and I was so afraid. Like, who is gonna pay me $1,800 for a puppy? But the puppy went like that, like so quick.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is amazing. I never knew I could make this much money with
That's
just,
super
it's a
interesting.
puppy, but a product, right?
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting actually. I never met anybody who's literally started a business or like because of selling puppies. That's interesting, really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what's cool is that there's these other businesses that they import puppies and then they sell them for $5,000. They're not guaranteed on size, not guaranteed to be purebred. And I'm like, hey, I've spent months searching for my dogs before I got them because I'm very particular. I want them to be healthy. I want them to look a certain way, be a certain size. And I'm like, why can't I sell mine for $5,000? And so I started to research and I started learning branding and marketing and messaging. And then I started selling my puppies for $5,000. And as a matter of fact, I closed down the business a couple of years ago and I still have people reaching out to me.
Mm,
Like I still have people wanting puppies from me. I had repeat buyers. People
mhm.
were buying before my puppies were even listed. But that was kind of what got that bug, the entrepreneur bug. I'm like, hey, this is amazing. I can actually do something
Oh,
bigger than I thought.
okay, that's so interesting. Wow. Okay, so how did you connect those pieces together that, you if you want to sell things online, for example, because probably you did that online, right? Um, how did you know or how did you figure out that you should like go market like with the way of marketing and sort of like how did you actually came out with that? Because selling puppies, I don't know what I would like what I remember about people, and especially in my country, people just going, with like those, what is it called? Like a, it's a piece of like, piece of paper where they have like all
Like
the descriptions about,
classifieds.
yeah, something like, I'm
Yeah.
not, yeah, I don't exactly know how
Yeah.
is it called, but and they're putting them on, on like whiteboards or like on boards, like where people can see them, and that probably would be like, how did you like you went straight away to internet, like, okay, that's interesting, like, that the thoughts that you had right from there already, it was like, okay, I'm gonna like make a business with this. That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of silly. When I was looking for them, though, like you see the cute, cute pictures. If you look at micro teacup Pomeranian puppies, you see like these adorable puppies. You find these websites and they're like $5,000. So that's why I searched for a long time for some that I could kind of afford. But I'm like, okay, mine are actually AKC registered. They're really good quality. And this isn't just about dogs, though. This is about anything that you sell. If you have done the research and you know what you offer, then you can price it what it's actually worth. And I'm like, if they can price theirs for 5,000 and they're not registered, they're not guaranteed to be purebred, they're not guaranteed on size, but mine are, I'm like, why can't I do at least 5,000? So yeah, it just connecting the pieces, saying, okay, my puppies are as cute or even cuter than theirs. They should be priced just as much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me more about like where where you been headed, like from your young age, like what was the script that you actually been headed, and how your success supposed to look like in your life.
Yeah. So as I shared earlier, single mother of seven kids, my mom, and we lived in the worst part of the worst part of town. It's called Dogtown, actually, where I grew up, and it was rough. We had a little half acre. It was a miniature farm. We had chickens, and we had vegetable gardens. We had goats, all that kind of stuff, and I loved it. But we had neighbors. We were like outside of city limits, but we had neighbors, and we had our house like broken into on multiple years on Christmas Eve, our Christmas present stolen. Like that's the kind of neighborhood where I grew up. And we didn't have a ton of money, so much so that we had one electric heater in the house and I was not allowed to use it.
Hmm.
We had a wood stove and I would sneak out at night and I'd curl up in front of the electric heater because it was so cold and I'd get in trouble if my mom caught me. So it's like that's where I grew up. That was my starting in life. And just going from there, I think seeing my mom push through. Like she had seven kids. She went to school full time, went to work full time until I was about 12 years old. Then she finally got us to a better part of town. She was a nurse. She was doing pretty good at that point. So seeing her push through, I think, is what really motivates me to reach for something higher. And then just everything that I went through in my marriage, like I felt so broken down and belittled and never good enough, and I was so insecure. I tell people I was a stay-at-home mama in the backwoods of North Idaho. I had two friends I hardly ever saw and way too many chickens and geese and stuff. Like I had a lot of animals. But, I just had this feeling inside. Like I knew God had created me for something more,
Mhm.
and just staying where I was not that's not it.
Mhm.
Like we have one life to live, and I really was looking at my life too, like where am I at right now? Where am I going to be in 5 to 10 years?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
we can never get that time back.
Yeah.
We can never get that time back. And I'm like, I cannot continue on this path. So I started to take these bold leaps of faith, these scary steps, right? It's scary when you're trying to become an entrepreneur. It's scary to let go of what you know because what you know is comfortable. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's comfortable because it's familiar.
Yeah. 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 And look at you now. Like your mom has to be so proud of you. I'm telling you. Um, and
And invested pretty much everything
oh
into learning from the top people in the industry.
yeah, yeah. Well, I lost you for a bit. I don't know if you heard
Oh
me,
no.
but no.
No, no,
Okay.
no.
Uh, I'm just saying that, and look at you now. Your mom has to be so proud of you because what you've done and how you live the life now and what you are, what how you help others and so on. It's just beautiful. Um, so what was the moment in your life that made you realize the system wasn't built to make you free?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Uh, so yes, I was in public school, and I think that's part of the system, right? I was in public school, and then went to college at 16, and then realized like this isn't for me. I would say it was when I was in college. I was seeing there's so many people that were um, like getting financial aid, getting support, and they were just staying in college, staying in the school system over and over. And then many of them were leaving, and they're struggling to get jobs. I don't hardly know anybody that was in that program that continued in that career,
So
right?
interesting,
And
right?
so, yeah,
Oh my
yes,
gosh.
it's wild. But
Yeah.
I've researched and I've read about this stuff, and I'm like, okay, there's some top people that created this very structured school system to get people into school to not think for themselves. It's like, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do with your life, with your days. This is what you have to do. Like, what things do you actually use that you learned in school? Like reading and writing, yes, but a lot of the things I don't even remember and I never use. So. Yeah, I started connecting the dots back then, I would say.
Hmm. So what was going on or going through your mind in that moment? Like when you realized that it's not the way, like that's not the thing that actually they sold us basically the safety or whatever, that you're gonna follow this path, that this is the path of being successful, right? So what was going on in your head that you when you realized this is not the right path?
Oh my goodness. I didn't want to give away my life to others. So
Hmm.
I 100% believe that our life is a gift, right?
Hmm.
And you only get one. And again, you can't get that time back. And so it's like you can either live your life in like this box,
Hmm.
essentially, that
Hmm.
somebody else creates. Hey, these are your boundaries, these are your walls, this is as high as you can go.
Hmm.
Or we can say, you know what, I'm just going to step out of that because there's a
Hmm.
door. You can choose to step out of it. But that's the thing. It's like we've been conditioned to stay in the box.
Yeah.
The opening that door and stepping out is the scary thing. But once you do it, it's like, wow, there's so much freedom. It's
Hmm.
amazing.
Hmm. Hmm. Did that moment change how you see the world or how you see yourself?
Oh, yeah, definitely both. I
Hmm.
see a lot of people, they struggle in the day to day. Like I think about my grandma. I love her dearly. She's not here anymore, but I saw how like she just struggled
Hmm.
paycheck to paycheck.
Hmm.
And that's how her life was. And I didn't want that.
Hmm.
And, I love my mom dearly, dearly, dearly. She worked and then she got retirement and now she's on retirement, and that's great. But it's like, why should we work so many years and then, just get like this small paycheck? It's retirement. Like, why not build something that can continue to grow, right? So we can
Yeah.
invest our money. We can do so many things. There's just so much freedom if you start your own business or you pave your own way. And not even that you have to pave your own way. Just find people that are already doing it and you're like, hey, show me how you did this, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs are figuring out. You just pay somebody to show you the way.
Yeah. 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 You know, Also I love the way that you said, invested in yourself, because so many people also like they struggle with this piece. they don't take it like an investment. They are taking like expense, and that's one of the problems also what I can really see from you know the, around those people who are just starting out or yeah. Um, but when you were younger, what was the script you were taught about money or success?
I was taught that you don't waste money. Money
Mm-hmm,
doesn't grow on a tree. So it was like very limited. It's like there's a limit to money. There's a limit to how much money is out there. And I didn't understand that money is a tool. It's just a
mm-hmm,
transfer of energy, essentially. Like you work, you create something, you sell it, your energy just got transferred into this value. Somebody else finds what you did valuable, and they pay you money, which came from energy that they created. They created something, they did something, they worked for it. So it's just a transfer of money or a transfer of energy, and it's a tool. But
mm-hmm,
I didn't see it that way when I was little. It's like I saw money and like in this view, like it's so much more valuable than it truly, truly, truly is.
mm-hmm.
Like it's a rarity. Like it's so rare to get money. You better hang on to it, kind of thing.
Yeah, so how was your approach to or how did you change the way you see money and how to use them along the way, and how where did you start it to actually learning about how to operate with money?
So that's a great question. I would say a lot of it was just seeing like, okay, other people are doing these things. And once I got a little taste of like what was possible for me, like, wow, I can actually make more than I thought I could. And as a matter of fact, I was a waitress in Idaho where the minimum wage for waitresses was like $3 and some odd cents,
Mhm,
like $3.18.
mhm,
And then you get whatever tips. And there were days that I left with $25 working a full shift. It's crazy. It's I'm like $25 and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna pay somebody else to watch my kids. I had two little kids at the time. And I'm like, this does not make sense. This is not calculating up. This is not adding up. But
mhm,
then you see other people are doing this, so you know it's possible.
mhm,
You just have to find the way. And I started to really pour into my knowledge, my understanding. I think a lot of people think, you go to school and that's where you learn everything and then learning stops.
mhm,
And now you just work and that's it. No, you can continue to invest in your learning, get books on finances and entrepreneurship, personal growth. Like that is huge. I know one thing Tony Robbins says is to work on yourself more than you do your business. And I
mhm,
think that is so true, so accurate because like you are not your business, but your business really does reflect
mhm,
who you are. So if you develop the mindset
mhm,
and you work on yourself and you build yourself into that person that is like, the entrepreneur, the business leader, that stuff will start to like flow naturally.
mhm. Can you go deeper on that you know developing your mindset? How would you, if you somebody who's listening is basically at the beginning or having some struggles, how would you like, because it's not just that it's you learn it once and that's done, because it's consistently a process to actually, I love the analogy of uh you know the path is the destination. um so what would you recommend to somebody, like how they should start learning and observing things differently, um, because we all know that mindset is basically 90% of the success.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one thing I would say is if you are on this journey and you're trying to figure out like how to get to the next level, how to get to the next step, for one, don't put a lot of pressure on yourself. It's not like you have to have everything like figured out and everything understood right away. It is a process. Like you said, it's a continual process, continual growth. It's not that I've achieved it yet, right? We're constantly getting better, constantly. I mean, even now, like I have so much business knowledge, but I continue to invest in coaches because there's so much I still don't know. There's so much I still don't know. And so I would say investing in other people that have already done the thing that you want to do and asking them how they did it and learning and surrounding yourself with those type of people, with like-minded people, that's going to help to shift your perspective of what is actually possible.
Mhm,
Because if you are just like, hey, I think this is possible for me, but you don't know anybody who's done it, it's going to be really easy to just give up and be like, maybe it's not possible for me.
Mhm.
But if you have people that are like, no, this is totally possible because I've been here, I've been where you are, and this is what I did, and this is how I did it, then you start to see, wow, it starts to connect the dots. And you're like, this is amazing. It is very, very possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What belief did you have to unlearn to build the life you have now?
Ooh, what belief? I would say I used to think, who wants to listen to me? Who would want to listen to me? Like,
Mhm.
I really was broken down because of things I'd gone through. And um, I thought, stepping out and talking too much or showing your face online and stuff, I almost thought that was like a bad thing, like you're trying to get attention. And that's not what it's about at all.
Mhm.
And I also thought, like, who am I that anybody would want to learn from me, that anybody would want to listen to me? But if you have value in anything, if you
Mhm.
have knowledge in anything, there are millions of other people that don't know the very things that you know. And so, if you can share that, if you can add value to other people's lives, you're going to see the value that you hold, the value that you carry. And as you continue to learn and grow, you're going to have more and more value, not just in your own life, but value to share with other people.
Mhm.
And there are definitely people that are going to want to hear from you, to learn from you.
Yeah, yeah. So powerful. So powerful. What do you believe now that you never would believe like 5 years ago?
Oh, what do I believe now? Oh, that I can travel all over. I'm a single mom. I've got 5 kids. In my entire marriage, I think I flew somewhere 2 times. I was on an airplane twice in 13 years. And now it's probably been at least 13 times, minimum probably 13 times in less than the last 2 years. So I fly around a lot and I love it. I love to travel. In
Mm.
October, I took my oldest daughter to Hawaii. We went scuba diving and um, just things that I never thought would be possible.
What value do you think that belief protects or honors in your life?
I think it gives me like this deeper hope and this
Mm-hmm.
deeper, like this joy of
Mm-hmm.
what's still possible, what's still laying ahead for me. It's not that I've gotten to the end of the road. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, it's the journey. The journey is the destination. So I'm still on that journey and I know how much I've experienced so far. And I know this is not the end. And
Mm-hmm.
so it just gives me like that fuel and that passion to keep going to see what more is possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm. So you love traveling, that's for sure. I can see that from you. And but let's go back into where when you've been starting a business and basically you start selling you start basically marketing your puppies. Like, how did you get from there into like high ticket sales?
So I would say that is high ticket sales because $5,000 is
Yeah,
high
yeah,
ticket
yeah,
sales,
true,
right?
true. Yeah.
So then I went from there and I was like, okay, I knew I was going to leave my marriage and I needed something that felt a little bit more consistent and, more consistent money. And my brother has a solar company and he asked if I would like to be a sales rep
Mm-hmm.
for his company.
Mm-hmm.
And so the funny thing is that he does in person, he does door to door, and he does amazing with his team.
Mm-hmm.
I was up in Idaho, not down in Arizona where they are, but I was getting a lead list. He was paying a company in the Middle East for them to get leads through ads.
Right.
And like the majority of these people, I would get on a call and they're like, I don't know anything about solar. I did not book this appointment. And I'm like, okay, this is not working.
Mm-hmm.
But I sold a system that was, goodness, I think it was 40, 50 grand for the
Mm-hmm.
system.
Mm-hmm.
And I made $13,000 on this. And I'm like, this is wild. I'm like, this is actually possible. But the thing is that so many of the leads were not good at all. Like they just didn't even know about the appointment. And so I'm like, I have to figure out how to get my own leads.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I kind of started to dive into, getting leads. I started learning about funnels and websites and stuff like that a lot more than what I'd been teaching myself before. Now I started taking courses because I'm like, I have to figure out how the professional people, how the experts are actually doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started to learn these things, I started to invest money in my learning and my skills.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I can either do this and build up, I love my brother, but I can either do this and build up his business, or I can do this and build up my own business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want to do something that feels impactful as well. And so that's when I started learning about coaching. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I first started coaching, I was actually coaching people that were going through what I went through in my marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that, and I love the transformation that I could offer people. but I didn't like talking about that all the time. It's just a heavy topic.
Mm-hmm.
And I started having a lot of people asking me, how did you do this? How did you start your business? I want to know. Like, I had people everywhere coming up to me at church. I had friends like, hey, you need to meet this one person I know. They want to build a business. They need to learn from you. Um, I had the CEO of some big AI company. I went through one of his trainings. He saw what I did. He started sending me some of his clients. Hey, will you coach some of my MVP clients?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, I just need to make the switch because I love business strategy,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, because, even with the dogs, I'm like, there's something about this. I love it.
Yeah.
It makes me happy to talk about it.
Yeah. 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 Very interesting. What part of your journey felt the most uncomfortable to share publicly?
I think the part where probably around my divorce, I think that that was uncomfortable to share publicly because, for one, I don't want him to be upset and say, "Oh, you're talking about me to the whole world,"
Mm-hmm.
um, which, I mean,
Yeah.
that happened. So that fear was realized.
Yeah.
But then also, I do want to honor and respect him as the father of my children.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's something that I saw how it broke me down so much, the things that I went through in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a point where I'm like, I didn't even want to continue on in this life. I was so miserable. I did not want to continue on. But I'm like, it's not worth it for me to live my life this way because of how somebody else is treating me. And so just taking that power back into my hands and then showing other people what was possible. It was hard to share that online, but I saw the power in it. I saw the power in being vulnerable and sharing your experiences because there's so many people that can relate.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? That when once you being like, open, people start seeing you, um, and start become attracted to you based on your experiences or whatever, like what happened in your life, and basically you be- you become attractive for them, and they just come to you for advice or whatever, right? So it's really interesting how it all works because so many others had pretty similar experience also, and then they just started basically a business based on that, right? So what was the beliefs that hold you back, um, based on what happened with with that relationship that actually like influenced you how you showing up?
There was a lot of beliefs I had to break from that relationship.
Mm,
For one, I felt like people didn't want to spend time with me. I thought that I was not likable. I thought I was not lovable. I thought that I had nothing really of value to offer this world. And, I was very insecure. I was extremely, extremely
mhm,
insecure.
mhm,
I was like a hermit in my cabin back in the woods. Like, I loved to stay home. I wanted to talk to people, but I didn't know how. And it's wild because when I was younger, I was in college when I was 16. I was getting into modeling. I was like traveling when I was young. And then I got married and everything changed.
mhm,
And like it really broke me down. It broke down my self-esteem. And I just felt like, who am I? I felt like I was nothing. And
mm,
so I had to break those beliefs
mhm,
because I knew showing up online, like it was still kind of there. It took me a long time to start showing up on camera and
mhm,
doing videos and, doing pictures and stuff like that. That was really hard for me for a really, really long time.
mhm,
But once I started to see, like, I don't have to look inside. And that's one thing I think people are dealing with when they're afraid to step out. It's because they're focusing so much on themselves and
mhm,
not on how they can serve other people. And I think
mhm.
when you make that switch in your mind from, how am I feeling and how are people going to think about me? How are they going to perceive me to, I'm just going to serve. I'm just going to serve and help other people.
Yeah,
It changes everything.
yeah, yeah. So true. And that's so powerful also because, you know, most of the people, they're not showing up because of how they see themselves. And this is really a really powerful topic to actually talk about, because it's not about you, it's about those people that you can help and serve, right? Because you won't have successful business or you won't be able to help anybody if you're not going to show up. Um, so it's how do you deal actually with those limiting beliefs that you been able, like, how did you break them?
I think just stepping out there and doing it and knowing that it doesn't have to be perfect, there are times I would record a video and I'm like, I would look at it and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. And I delete it and I do it like 10 more times. And I
Mhm.
get so burnt out from trying to do the same thing over and over. That I'm like, just scrap it. I can't do this. And then I try again. It would take me weeks to try again. And
Mhm.
I try it again. And then I finally got to a point I'm like, it will never be good enough. I just need to post this.
Yeah.
And then when I did it, then I started to see, okay, it's getting better, it's getting better. And I was seeing the response from people. They weren't talking about like, oh, you messed up there, or you said this, or it wasn't like that. People were like, oh, this is great, this is so valuable, this is wonderful, thank you. And that fueled me to keep going. And I think the refining comes through taking action.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, so true. And this like taking an action is one of the is the one of the biggest problems that I can see out there. I joined so many courses, so many coaching programs, and people like to overthink things a lot.
Yeah.
Um, so it's and you know without like taking the action, it's like you can polemizate about certain things, you can change the approach so many times, but you don't even know if it works or not because you don't even know if because you never tried it. So and the market always do what it wants to do. You are unable to like influence the market, like how they're going to respond or how they're going to react. You know what I mean? So it's um, this is one big thing. Also, did you have a problem with actually taking an action?
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, when I was first getting into coaching, it took me such a long time to figure out my niche because I felt like I want to help the woman that was going through narcissistic abuse, but I'm like, I don't want to get known for
Hmm.
narcissistic abuse. I feel called to so much more than that. And I
Hmm.
don't want that label on me. I don't want that title on me, but I do want to help these women. And so I hashed it out for a long time. I hired a coach, I went through a ton of different programs, hired coaches, talked to them, and they're like, oh, just go for it. And so when I finally was like, you know what? Like you said, like I was trying to build out courses, trying to build out my program, and I would hesitate to post it. I would hesitate to move forward with it though. And finally I was like, you know what? Something has to break. Something has to happen, and I will never know unless I try. And so once I got out there and I learned like high ticket coaching is the best way to start your business. Yeah, because you get to work one on one. You can afford to spend that one on one time with people and understand their pain points and what really moves the needle for them. And then you can take that and you can go into courses and, group programs or whatever. But once I learned that and I just went all in, I got my first client in just 4 weeks, my first $3,000 client.
Hmm.
And and it's great because once you test it out, over time I figured out, I love to help these people, but again, I don't like talking about this all the time. And
Hmm.
so then I made the switch, and that's okay. But you do have to do something.
When you shift to well when you've been starting selling high ticket, what type of like what certain type of skills you had to work on to be able to sell high ticket?
The skills I really had to work on were, I would say, understanding how to communicate to people is the whole sales process. Understanding how to communicate to people, which I was already learning on my own when I was selling puppies for $5,000. Because you can imagine people would say, that's ridiculous, that's way too much money. And that would make me feel bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is a lot of money for a dog. This really is. And I would feel bad. But then I started to realize there are people out there that will pay it. And so if somebody wants less value or a different program or a different offer, then they can go and find that somewhere else. They can find one that suits them. And
Mhm.
just because they say yours is too much, well, no, they just don't see the value in it for them. And maybe it's just because it's not a match, and that's okay. But when you find the right people, and that's the thing, it's like don't let yourself get down because when you find the right people, they'll be happy to pay. I just had a guy last week that was like $5,000 done. And I had a few people this week already like sign me up and we're about to hop on another call. So you
Mhm.
just got to find your right people.
Um, my approach is that selling high ticket is for sure one of the easiest way to start. But what type of business would you go with? Um, when would you be starting, basically? Because for me,
Oh,
it's
when you
basically services.
What type of business?
Hmm.
That's a really broad question. Go sell some puppies. I'm just joking.
I mean,
Uh,
like
yeah,
if you would be
online.
deciding between coaching, for example,
Yes.
services, or I don't know, like this type of businesses, because have you been actually thinking about this when you if you starting a coaching business, you have to basically be able to present the way that you're going to coach somebody basically, or you need to sell that, like persuade that person that you know what you do, and then that they will be able to do it. But if you do selling services, services are basically you have to just show them that you know what you do, so you need to like persuade them on what that you can do it, and that's pretty much it, right? So this is my approach on that, and I don't know if like what is your thoughts on this. I would love to hear that actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So if you're selling somebody on your own services, I think that's powerful because you can say, "Hey, look, this is what I've done already." And I think that's a good way to start. But coaching is also very, very powerful. But the thing with coaching is, like you were saying, like you have to be able to show them, hey, I can get you these results, but you also can get these results. You have to empower them to realize that they are capable. And so now it's not just all on your shoulders, it's also on their shoulders to get the results.
Mhm.
And so with that, I think it can be a little bit difficult, but it's once you understand the way people think and you understand their mindset and you talk to them, you figure out their pain points, then I think coaching is beautiful
Mhm.
because it really teaches you how to serve and how to bring people up to like the next level.
Mhm.
So the services like done for you, you're doing it for them,
Mhm.
and that's amazing. But also coaching, you're really helping to bring them as an individual up to another level.
Mhm. If someone would watch your life without hearing your words, what would they say you value most?
Without my words,
Hmm.
if they just watched it,
Yeah.
so they like no audio, no words, and they just watched my video. And what would they think I value most?
Hmm.
I think I would say authenticity because
Ooh,
my
okay.
videos, yeah, I don't make them all sparkly, beautiful and stuff. As a matter of fact, I had a guy message me, and I know how to. I know how to edit my videos. I've done that sometimes. I've done goofy little reels and stuff, but I had a guy message me one time and say, "Hey, I checked out some of your videos and they're really blah."
Hmm.
And I'm like, oh, really? And so I went and I did another video and I just put a lot of like really weird and random cuts and edits, just random things like, all of a sudden I sparkle and stuff.
Hmm.
And it didn't make sense.
Hmm.
But I'm like, I'm making a point, like, it's not about having, all of the right editing and this pizzazz or whatever. It's about being authentic. And so when I show up like that, like,
Hmm.
I think that connects with people.
Being yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So powerful. Um, what is a hill you would die on, no matter what it cost?
Oh, a hill I would die on. Is this for anything?
Yeah.
Okay. A hill I would die on, no matter the cost, I would say, um, 100%. Like, I am very strong in my faith, and I'm very, very strong in my faith. As a matter of fact, I was just preaching at a park last Saturday, and there's 10,000 people there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How did
And
you get,
so,
yeah, how did you get into you know, being,
ministry.
yeah, ministry? Yeah.
Yeah. I felt very called to it even when I was in my marriage, and I realized I couldn't step into that as long as I was in my marriage. And so
Mhm.
that was part of the reason that I knew I needed to leave.
Mhm.
And I was just like, okay, Lord, like it's not my way, not my will, not my plan, not my purpose anymore, but yours, because I believe that God has such a big plan and a purpose for everybody's life, and we can try to go our own way. And I feel like when I go my own way, I keep hitting rock bottom over and over. So I'm like, Lord, what do you have for me? And when I've
Mhm.
done that, it's just like door after door after door opens.
Mhm.
And so why I say I would die on that hill is because I believe in a relationship with Jesus. I believe in that so strongly. That's why I went to this huge um, festival where there's 10,000 people and I got right in the front, in front of everybody. And I go to, events where there's Antifa, Satanists, atheists, all these people, and I go over onto their side where they're protesting and I bring them donuts and strawberries with my friends. I sit down and I talk to them and I just love them. And they let me in on their protesters' side and I just hang out with them because again, it's like it doesn't matter the cost. I find so much joy and fulfillment in that.
Mhm. Mm, that's so, yeah. Well, I see lots of people and even me going into that. Uh, like when I started a business, I haven't been like really thinking about this type of things. But more and more, and longer I'm in a business, I start observing these things a lot. And I can say that I'm now more aligned with God than I have ever been. And even though I've been like, I don't believe like, the thing like going to church every whatever every Sunday or so on. Like because I've been raised in that type of environment, right? But I
Mhm.
never really understand what is it all about, right? But then I've been thinking like about the life and how we are, like why we are here, and what is the purpose of everything, and it's really interesting to and then I started listening like people like I don't know, Myron Golden and all sorts of things
Yes, I
like
love
that,
Meyer
and
Golden.
yeah, so it's just amazing to hear that, and then like really go deeper and learn those type of things. um and it's just really interesting topic to go, and I'm probably going to head that way also quite a bit because I love to study those type of topics. So I would love to actually really see like what is your perspective on that. I would love to, yeah.
Yes. So, okay, there's two things I love talking about, and one is Jesus, and two is business strategy. So like this is a perfect call.
Okay.
My thoughts, and I would say more than just my thoughts, my experiences, my knowledge, my understanding of all of this. I grew up in church as well, but
Mhm.
I never had anybody teaching me,
Mhm.
like really teaching me about relationship with God.
Mhm.
I was in Sunday school. I saw like the colorful pictures of Jonah and the whale, Noah's Ark, David and Goliath, right? It was like, okay, great stories. And I thought, we have to live our life so good here. God is up there somewhere. And
Mhm.
someday, once we die, we stand before him and we're judged.
Mhm.
And we hope that we can get into heaven. That's
Mhm.
what I thought.
Mhm.
But as life went on, I fell into a lot of the ways of, the patterns of the world. I was messing up a lot, doing a lot of dumb things in my life. And there was something weighing on me. It's like, this isn't what you were made for.
Mhm.
There's so much more for you.
Mhm.
And, I cried one time. I felt so broken, so empty. I had so many friends, and on the outside I looked happy, but I'd go home at night and I felt so alone and empty. And I knew the lifestyle I was living was not in line with what God has for me, but I
Mhm.
didn't have that real relationship with Him yet. I didn't really fully understand yet. And I was on my bed crying. I was like, Lord, like, show me that you love me, that you could forgive me. Like, I felt like the things I was doing, I was just doomed to hell, is what I thought. I literally thought I was living such a bad life. I'm just doomed. And I fell asleep and I actually had a dream that I was standing on this green grassy hill, and this magnificent, beautiful giant hand came out of the clouds, and it was like blue and white moving energy. And it reached down right next to me, and it crawled in the palm of the hand. And I felt a love and a peace come over me and a joy
Mhm.
come over me that I never felt in my entire life.
Wow.
Like, I grew up the baby of seven, and I never felt loved. I
Mhm.
know my mother loved me, but I didn't have, like, she didn't have time to be there and spend a lot of time with us. And my siblings, I felt very unloved and unliked by them. And so in this moment, I had so much, like, just a love I never experienced. And I woke up and I'm like, oh my gosh. And from that point on, I was like, wow, God sees me no matter how tiny I am in this giant world, and even more so in the giant universe, right? No matter how tiny I am and insignificant I am, God actually sees me and He loves me. And so that drives me. And yes, I've fallen short. I've messed up so many times since then. But I believe 100% that it's not about going to church and checking off the boxes. Oh, I was at church on Sunday. I made it to church on Easter. That's not what it's about. Because the church is not a building. The church is the body of Christ. That's what the church
Mhm.
is.
Mhm.
That's really what the church is. It's not a building.
Mhm.
And so the closest that I have grown to the Lord was outside of church. And now I go to church for the community of believers and
Mhm.
again to serve. How
Mhm.
can I help them? Right? And that's what it's really about. But when God first made man, he made Adam and Eve and they were in the garden, he walked and talked with them. What does that tell you about God? He created us in his image and he
Yeah.
walked and talked with man in the garden. That shows me like he's God, he has everything. You look at the
Mhm.
world, why would God create the world? Like people are wretched. I'm just being blunt. Like people are wretched, right? The world is falling apart. It's like, why would God create that? Well, he first made man and woman. He said everything was so good, and he walked and talked in the garden with them. This shows me that he wanted relationship.
Mhm.
He wanted relationship with us. But
Mhm.
then when sin came in, and people are like, well, why would there be
Ooh,
sin
that's
if he's a perfect and holy God, right?
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
very
No,
interesting. Yeah. Ooh.
no, you're good. But I mean, that separates us from God, though.
Mhm.
It does. And
Mhm.
that's why, that's why Jesus came. That's why he came and died on the cross because he took our
Mhm.
sins to bring us back into relationship with him. And that's really what it's all about.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what it's really all about, is just relationship with him.
Mhm. So powerful. Well, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
of course.
sharing this, for being here. I have one last question. Just
Oh,
I don't know if you like how much time you have, but how you been able to a co-author a book with a
Les Brown?
Bless Brown. There you go.
Yeah. How did I co-author a book with him?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so he has a program that can co-author a book with him.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I went through a program with him and I got to do that and to learn speaking from him. And one thing, he's amazing at teaching you how to speak
Yeah.
publicly and presenting publicly. One thing that I learned from him is like, do not say. And I
Mhm.
still I still mess up. I still
Um,
say sometimes. Yeah, when
I'm
we're
guilty as
thinking, it's like,
charged.
yeah, it's a
Don't worry.
filler word.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
anyway, thank you so much for being here. It was
of course.
amazing. And the reason why I asked about Les Brown was because I've been actually around that space a lot also, and Aileen Wilder, and people they are studied him a lot, like how to publicly speak, one to many selling, and so on. But anyway, thank you so much for that, for sharing that. I would love to also if you can uh, share where people can find you and where they can connect with you to support you or start working with you.
Yes, of course. So my website is briannathaxton.com, BriannaThaxton.com. And then also I'm primarily on Facebook though. Like Facebook is my niche. That's my strong suit. I love Facebook. It's a great way to connect with leads on there. And so you can find me. My Facebook is Brianna Thaxton Official. So
Awesome. Thank you so
yes,
much.
of
And for
course.
everybody who's listening, if this stirs something in you, don't ignore it. Share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe, leave a review, and remember, you weren't born to follow the script, you weren't born to be free. Bye, everybody.